Now, join us on the program, David Adams, the president of the Virginia Shooting Sports Association. David, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Cam.
All right, earlier today, the Virginia State Crime Commission met and discussed a number of gun control proposals. And now, for folks who live outside of Virginia, and maybe even for some of the folks who live inside of Virginia, what exactly is the purpose of the Virginia State Crime Commission?
They advise the General Assembly on issues related to crime. It's not unusual for the legislature to punt an issue to the Crime Commission for study if they don't want to deal with it during a session. Mm-hmm. Such is the case with the so-called gun show loophole last year. The bill was dead, and as happens often in the General Assembly, it gets resurrected, and someone had the bright idea to send it to the Crime Commission for study to see if there really was a problem in Virginia. And so this is the ending of that whole process.
Okay, and what did the Virginia Crime Commission say today?
Today, only a 6-6 vote, they deadlocked, and in order to recommend legislation, you have to have a majority vote, which they did not have. In fact, Chairman Dave Albo, who is known affectionately as Delegate Dave, held the vote for an hour so that Delegate Terry Kilgore could get there and vote. And the new member of the commission, Delegate Ward Armstrong, a Democrat from South Side, Virginia, who replaces Delegate Brian Moran, who resigned recently to run for governor, cast the tie-breaking vote. So they will not be recommending a gun show loophole bill.
Oh, well, that is good news.
However, that is not the end of the story.
Darn it, David.
Yeah. Senator Ken Stolley, who is usually a pro-gun vote, suggested that might the commission want to recommend legislation that would allow people to have voluntary background checks if they happen to be a private dealer and they want to make sure the person they're selling, or a private individual, and the person they're selling their firearm to, they want to make sure that they're legally able to buy it before they complete the transaction.
Okay, so this would be on a voluntary basis.
Well, so they say. I want to see the bill.
Yeah, no, I can totally understand. Were there any other recommendations that came out?
Some other issues on the agenda, but those are two related to firearms.
Okay, so what happens next here, David? I mean, we have to, I guess, then wait and see what legislation is introduced.
Yeah, we'll find out who the patron is. It could be Senator Stolley. Someone will patron the legislation. We'll likely start on the Senate side of the legislature, and then if it makes it out of the Senate, then the House Militia and Police Committee would get it, and that's usually the killing field for anything that the pro-rights groups think is unnecessary. So we'll see what happens. Okay.
Now, in the meantime, is that where we expected the big fight for gun control to come from the Virginia State Crime Commission? Is that where? I mean, in other words, do you think that we're going to see other gun control bills introduced by delegates that weren't really discussed today by the Crime Commission?
Well, yeah, I'd fully expect it. In fact, a couple have been introduced. And, of course, Senator Henry Marsh, who's an anti-gun senator from Richmond, said that he would be putting in his own gun show bill. He has been the patron for the last several years and has seen his bills go down to defeat, and he apparently likes taking a licking, so he's going to do it again this year.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the makeup of the state legislature, David, how does it look in terms of pro-gun versus anti-gun, both delegates and state senators?
We have pro-gun in both houses. It's not quite as pro-gun in the Senate as it is in the House. However, it's interesting because the Senate Courts of Justice Committee actually got a little more pro-gun after the Republicans lost one seat. They put Craig Deed in that committee, so it's actually a little bit more pro-gun. And Courts of Justice is where most of the gun legislation goes unless it affects local governments. Most of your firearms bills go through Courts of Justice, so if we can kill it there, we keep it from getting to the floor, because once it gets to the floor, anything can happen.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, David, I'm glad that you could join us on the program tonight, and I hope you'll keep us up to date with what's going on in Virginia.
Absolutely. All your Virginia listeners, I encourage them to go to our website, www.myvssa.org, if they're not a member, to join, and also click on the link to join our email alert list, and they will get regular legislative updates from us.
All right. David, thank you so much, sir. We'll talk to you very soon.
Thanks a lot, Cam.
David Adams, the president of the Virginia Shooting Sports Association.